Originally meant to be a peaceful life, I didn't expect it to be stormy. The wind rose, the heart moved, and in the end, it scattered into the mortal world. Strange yet mundane journey. Zhang Jinyu, a talented student from the Blue Star History Department, traveled to a feudal dynasty in a parallel world called the Dawu Empire and became a defensive general in the border city of Pingyang, where he controlled the northern war situation through ups and downs. The title of Marquis and Baron is indescribable. I originally thought that my life would pass like this. By chance, when I returned to Beijing to report on my work, I met Qin Yi, the head of the Ministry of Works, who was leading a craftsman to repair the large mansion bestowed upon me by the Holy Emperor in the capital. He said that it was specially entrusted by Jia Zheng, a member of the Ministry of Works. Upon hearing the familiar name, Zhang Jinyu suddenly realized that this was the Red Chamber, dream keywords of the novel. Pingyang Fu in the Red Chamber with no pop-ups. Download the complete TXT collection of Pingyang Fu in the Red Chamber, and read the latest chapters of Pingyang Fu in the Red Chamber. What is the situation with the director in Chapter 1? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. What is the situation with the director? Blue Star 3111, November 11th, Autumn, Saturday, in the Hai.N community of Tianhe Flower Garden in Wanghai Country. It is an ordinary and peaceful evening. The air in the community is filled with a faint fragrance, and the flower garden is also filled with homeowners who can play and take walks everywhere. In a 44 square meter small apartment located in Building 404 of Building 4, hey, today is another day when I didn't pass the interview. What should I do now? It's almost time to pay the rent, and my face is clean now. A handsome young man with a colorful face, but truly handsome, muttered to himself in his rented apartment. Seeing this scene, one cannot help but ask, what is the situation? The original speaker was the landlord Zhang Jinyu, who was originally an orphan and grew up in a welfare home. With his intelligence and eagerness to learn, he was admitted to a prestigious university in the capital and chose to study in the history department. For ordinary years passed like this. I just graduated this year and joined the unemployment army. In order to make a living, Zhang Jinyu has been tirelessly searching for a job outside, but after all, she is a niche professional and has no family support behind her. So I work odd jobs to make a living while going to big companies for interviews and waiting for opportunities. Unfortunately, the handsome young man lacks both background and experience. It can be imagined that when faced with most large companies that require work experience, it is basically a series of interviews and failures. That's not right either. When encountering female interviewers, they usually give them a follow-up phone number. Many interviewers and aunties want to support him, but they have to attach some conditions. Zhang Jinyu, who has a lot of backbone, always hangs up the phone and says that I can't find a better little girl just because of my conditions. The bad day passed again. I ate a bowl of ramen noodles extravagantly outside this evening, and added a big poached egg. It was very satisfying. After taking a walk outside for a while at night, I went back to my rental room and took out my older smartphone. I opened my tomato novel and started reading online articles. By the way, I had a drink of happy soda free of charge from ramen noodles shop. Unconsciously fascinated, but the phone was too old and ran out of battery after a while. Zhang Jinyu quickly took the charging cable to charge the phone, then continued to lie in bed and read. As time passed by, Zhang Jinyu watched and fell asleep without realizing it. Unconsciously, the hand holding the phone fell onto the bedside cabinet and accidentally knocked over the unfinished happy soda bottle, spilling soda onto the plug. Moment an inexplicable arc appeared from the happy soda, directly enveloping the sleeping Zhang Jinyu. In a moment, the person who had just been breathing slowly calmed down, with a pale face. A few days later, the local evening newspaper reported that an unemployed youth had recently died from an electric shock while using electricity improperly in his rented house. Warning everyone, regulate electricity usage, pay attention to safety, and do not regret it. Dawu, October of the 7th year of Yuan Feng, Autumn. Outside the northeast pass of the Dawu Court, Luoyun Plain, the capital of Pingyang County. The largest city in the north, Pingyang County City. East Gate, below the city, outside the moat, hurry up. Charge up. Pour the soil in. All up, hurry up and bury it, those who retreat will die. Quick. Above the east city wall, everyone continue to shoot, those who retreat will be dealt with by military law. The reserve team in the city obeys orders. The first row, prepare the bow and crossbow, let it go. Second row of crossbows, prepare, release ah. It hurts so much, help me. Quickly, the Jurchen buried a winding path, and the soldiers frantically carried the ladder and rushed towards the gate of the eastern city. They mounted simple ladders and attacked upwards, while the defenders fought fiercely. The fierce offensive and defensive battle under Pingyang County is being carried out in a bloody manner. The soldiers on both sides engaged in a desperate struggle, sacrificing their lives to forget death. The city walls, already stained red with blood, were still devouring the lives of soldiers on both sides. The bloody siege lasted until evening, when the attacking side withdrew their troops and temporarily calmed down. Under the city wall to the east of Pingyang City, there are piles of corpses of soldiers from both sides. The cold and piercing city walls, with the residual warmth of blood in the sunset, are so poignant and desolate. Sir, wake up quickly. A hurried call rang in Zhang Jinyu's ear, and she felt a bit dizzy. It was probably because she didn't sleep well yesterday or caught a cold. Ha! Isn't that right? I was reading a novel in a rented house yesterday. Oh, by the way, I'm a bit tired and fell asleep. So who is calling me now? I'll go. Isn't it because the family recruited thieves? Zhang Jinyu immediately opened her eyes and heard before she could react, Sir, you're awake. Great, as long as it's okay. I'll go bring you a bowl of hot soup and have some to warm your body. After speaking, I saw a person dressed in the attire of feudal dynasty officials that I used to see on TV walking out the door. Zhang Jinyu was a bit confused. When was I filming? Why didn't I remember the key? I didn't interview for the interview yesterday. A gust of wind woke up Zhang Jinyu, who was still in a daze. After a brief moment of unconsciousness, he finally looked around carefully. The antique interior decoration exudes a faint sandalwood fragrance. The furnishings in the room do not have computers or electric lights, only a dim oil lamp. No wonder it is so dark that even a lamp cannot be turned on, and they are still filming night scenes. Zhang Jinyu looked around carefully again. What about the director? What about the camera? What about the people around who are protected? Why isn't there one? It won't be. Zhang Jinyu took a deep breath of air conditioning. It's not like I've traveled through time, is it? Zhang Jinyu quickly pinched her thigh with her hand and said, Oh my! It hurts so much. When did my strength grow so strong? Looking at this hand again, even under the dim oil lamp, I could feel the calluses on these hands and the powerful body of Kong Wu, as if my whole body was filled with endless strength. Don't ask, it's definitely not my previously powerless sub-healthy body like Zhang Jinyu. When I go, I'm not prepared at all and should have crossed it. Soul-piercing is still. Suddenly, I felt a headache and a burst of memories that didn't belong to me popped up in my mind. It turned out that the previous owner of this body, also known as Zhang Jinyu, was the general guarding the Pingyang County City, and could also be considered a family of military generals. Not long after my father's death in battle, the court was loyal to the Zhang family for generations, allowing me to inherit my father's title as cavalry captain and garrison officer. This can be considered a fourth-ranked military officer who can lead 10,000 troops alone, because he can lead 30,000 troops in the border defense and is an important location in Pingyang County. Compared to the Blue Star, this world is larger and more extensive. The court is now the Dawu dynasty, and the new emperor has only ascended the throne for a few years, so the world is far from settling down. There are still strong countries in the west, east, and south, but I don't know much about them in my memory. The northern nomadic people are as strong as the Xianbei people, Jurchen people, Donghu people, and Yueshur people, and they invade the border every year. Especially this year's severe drought on the grasslands has resulted in heavy losses for nomadic tribes. In the past few days, Huang Jitai, the Khan of Jurchen, personally led 250,000 elite soldiers from Jurchen Khan's tent to prepare for the attack on Pingyang County. This is preparing to directly attack the important town of Pingyang County in the northeast outside the Dawu Pass, and the key is that I am still the defending general of Pingyang County. As for the reason, besides the severe drought on the grasslands and the heavy losses suffered by nomadic tribes, it is also because the west of Pingyang County is the largest lake in northeast China, Luoyun Lake. The Pingyang County city by the Luoyun Lake is just a piece of fat, attracting hungry wolves to wait for an opportunity to eat. Received an urgent report from the northeast border. Emperor Zhou Shihong outside the Dawu Pass instructed his younger brother, Prince Zhongshuan Zhou Jianan, to lead a large army to rush for reinforcements. After the 200,000 reinforcements from outside the Dawu Pass had just arrived at Pingyang County, Huang Jitai personally led 3,000 cavalry to inspect the terrain. Zhou Jianan, the commander of the reinforcements, discovered that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and wanted to personally lead 20,000 cavalry troops to surround and kill Huang Jitai. However, other generals were unwilling and everyone wanted to fight for credit. There was no other choice but to order other reinforcements to enter the city, allowing Zhang Jinyu, who was originally the defending general of Pingyang, to temporarily lead the reinforcements to continue defending the city. Zhou Jianan had no choice but to lead all the main generals and 20,000 cavalry from his headquarters to surround and kill Huang Jitai, stipulating that whoever caught him would be the first to win. Then, all the main generals rushed towards Huang Jitai like crazy. The result is obvious. We have been fighting a siege all day now and have not seen any other generals. According to the current situation, I am the only main general in the city. The director dare not act like this. Tomorrow we still have to face Huang Jitai. What should we do? The director. Director, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going home and I don't want any money. Originally meant to be a peaceful life, I didn't expect it to be stormy. The wind rose, the heart moved, and in the end, it scattered into the mortal world. The Red Chamber was my childhood dream, and as a new author, I need your great support. Thank you all. End of this chapter. 2. Don't panic in chapter 2, just stabilize first. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Don't panic, stabilize first. Dong, dong, dong. The sudden knocking on the door from the front interrupted Zhang Jinyu, who was sitting in bed in a state of anxiety and shock, causing her to shiver all over. Who is it? Zhang Jinyu took a deep breath and asked, pretending to be deep, Sir, it's me, Deputy General Ning Bian, who has brought you hot congee. Come on in. Yes, sir. As soon as the words fell, I saw a young, burly general with a Chinese-style face and a neat military uniform walking in. Sir, are you feeling better now? Well, it's much better, but my head hurts a bit. Come on, my lord, first drink some hot congee to warm up your body. Don't worry, my lord. This is an accident today. The best doctor in the city has seen it for you this afternoon, but he suffered a little trauma. He will recover after a while. Deputy General Ning Bian slowly put congee on the table in the living room, and also took out the pickles and mantou wrapped in oil paper from his arms and put them on the table. Sir, come and have some food. You haven't eaten anything all day. Good. Upon hearing this, Zhang Jinyu realized that it was not possible. Not eating was absolutely not possible. People are like iron, but rice is like steel. If they become too hungry and weak, how can they escape? Cough. How can you have the strength to fight? Zhang Jinyu dragged a little tired body to the table, took up congee and drank it, not to mention that the unpolluted little congee tasted delicious. He picked up a mantou roll and ate some pickles. It was really delicious. Looking back at the deputy general standing by his side, Ning Bian, what's going on today? Can you tell me? Lord Hui, this morning after the reinforcements entered the city, I arranged for them to enter the camp. However, the leaders were all deputy generals, and the main generals of each department, including General Zhou Jianan, have not returned until now. I know everything about the morning. It's been a whole day now. Do you think they can still come back? I said about the afternoon. I remember falling when I went out, and then what? Then when the adults heard this news, they were quite excited and fell off the door. They accidentally knocked on the head and passed out. Fortunately, the generals and the Zhang family kept it a secret from the people below, as well as the warrant given by General Zhou to the main general, so there was no trouble. So the Jurchen didn't attack the city. Zhang Jinyu asked in confusion, I cannot give up such a good opportunity. I fought. In the morning, the Jurchen fought hard to fill a small path on the moat. In the afternoon, the Jurchen explored and attacked for an hour, but she was not ready with siege equipment, so she withdrew. Is our loss significant or not? Lord Hui, our original selves have not suffered any losses. I directly held General Zhou's order and arranged for reinforcements to defend the city. Our people were all supervising the battle from behind, and the reinforcements died, with approximately 2,000 casualties. Upon hearing this, Zhang Jinyu immediately thought to herself, talent, this guy has the potential to be a dog leg. Isn't there anyone opposing the reinforcements? There are 2 deputy generals opposing it. Your cousin Zhang Junying accompanied me and directly killed the 2 deputy generals with disrespectful military orders, taking over the troops. Zhang Jinyu roughly understood the current situation by inquiring about what happened in Ningbian this afternoon. Ningbian, go ahead and call the generals from the Zhang mansion over now. Let's have a meeting together. Tell them there's something important to discuss, it's about life and family. Yes, sir, I'll go now. Ning Yuan arched his hand and took the command to leave. Zhang Jinyu's mind quickly pondered for a moment, and now it was time to control the army and find ways to win and survive. The rest retreated, and cold weapon combat was the most brutal and tested of human willpower. I hope my subordinates can be better. After waiting for half an hour, people arrived at the general's mansion one after another. Big brother, are you feeling better now? General, we're all worried about it breaking down. Big brother, as long as you're okay, my brothers are still counting on you. Quiet. Zhang Jinyu's head swelled when she heard a room full of noise. When everyone heard the big brother speak, they all instinctively closed their mouths. I said, listen, now we're discussing our future lives and finances. It's all burning with anger and we're still making noise here. Think about how to deal with the Jurchen outside. Also, this time Huang Jitai is coming aggressively, it seems that he is bound to want to take Pingyang County City. In the face of our reinforcements' main generals being completely destroyed, this is a great opportunity. If you were Huang Jitai, would you give up this opportunity? Zhang Jinyu scanned the crowd with a sharp gaze and then spoke in a low tone, do we still have people and horses from the imperial court around us now, or do we have the nearest city defenders? General Hui, there is one, Pingyao City, to the south of us. The speaker is Zhang Wenyuan, the general of Zhang Jinyu's family, who is guarding the city. How many people and horses are there? Zhang Jinyu followed up with questioning, General, the city guard and the general have already left. It was you who sent the General Ning Yuan to lead us 5,000 troops to take over the city defense. Currently, there is a messenger from there saying that after counting our people, there are still 20,000 left to fight, and the rest is empty pay. These corrupt officials from the Nyul Yang are greedy for life and afraid of death. What do you mean, now there are only people from our Zhang family left on the Luoha plain? Yes, General. Zhang Jinyu suddenly felt a headache. These were all teammates of the pigs. No, the pigs were better than them. There wasn't even a reinforcements in such a big place, and they finally arrived. The commander-in-chief was also 250, and this powerful court was also unparalleled. Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard my conversation with Wen Yuan? Now we are the only ones fighting alone, like grasshoppers on a rope, either alive or dead. As for running away, the Jurchen cavalry outside are not vegetarians. Zhang Jinyu is a quick-witted person, she said before Zhang Jinyu finished speaking. Big brother, what do you think we should do? Let's live and die together as brothers. It's not a big deal to fight against him as a Jurchen. General, what do you say we do? Yes, I'll listen to you. Yeah, General, just tell me how to do it. Zhang Jinyu was very pleased to see everyone's reaction. With a press of his hand, everyone immediately stopped speaking. Firstly, there are 200,000 reinforcements from the city's main camp, or more accurately, there are still 180,000 people left, along with our 25,000 troops, totaling 200,000 people. The additional 5,000 people led by Ning Bian will serve as my guard. These troops are the foundation of our livelihood. Speaking of this, Zhang Jinyu paused for a moment. The generals also had a thoughtful and suddenly enlightened expression. So, the first step is to take over this 180,000 army with my command and Commander Zhou Jianin's command. Anyone who refuses, kill. Everyone's face turned cold. The second step is that Pingyang is the largest storage area for military supplies and supplies to the north of the court. With our city defense and a large amount of military equipment, Huang Jitai was consumed and killed until they withdrew. His lair is in the easternmost part, and there is also their enemy, the Yu clan, to the north. We cannot leave for too long. Therefore, we must stabilize ourselves. As for defeating them, it will be a matter of the future. Everyone watched as the General Zhang Jinyu confidently analyzed his next plan, and they all breathed a long sigh of relief. The tense expression of the day also eased. Vice General Ning Yuan interjected beside him, General, those supplies and weapons are directly under the Ministry of War. We have just mobilized about 400,000 people for military supplies this year. Without the imperial decree of the central government, we may use those civilian officials without authorization. What you said is also a problem. These civil servants' bad deeds are one and the same, but now we live first, let's talk about the rest. Moreover, what we say then is not up to us. All right. Now, I command. Zhang Jinyu leads the 1st Battalion with 20,000 cavalry, Zhang Wenyuan leads the 2nd Battalion with 20,000 cavalry, Zhang Wenqing leads the 3rd Battalion with 20,000 infantry, Zhang Jiawen leads the 4th Battalion with 20,000 infantry, Zhang Jiawu leads the 5th Battalion with 20,000 infantry, Zhang Xiaolin leads the 6th Battalion with 20,000 infantry, Zhang Mingzhe leads the 7th Battalion with 20,000 infantry, Zhang Yuanping leads the 8th Infantry Cavalry Mixed Battalion with 20,000 infantry, and Ningdian leads our old battalion with 20,000 people. I will take orders, all the generals responded in unison. Remember, take action quickly. We will be defending the city tomorrow morning. Huang Jitai won't give us too much time. Your two brothers, Zhang Jiawen and Zhang Jiawu, will defend the first day tomorrow. We will use the tactic of adding fuel to exhaust him. Yes, General, no, yes, General. The titles of the two also changed directly from General to Grand Marshal. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Still not willing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Still not willing, you too. You can't say this nonsense, let's call it the General. Yes, General. Let's all go. We need to speed up, we don't have time. Everyone quickly got up and clasped their fists before leaving. As Zhang Jinyu saw everyone leave, her body relaxed and she sat down in a chair. Just now, she was pretending to be calm. To stabilize others, she must first stabilize herself. Whether it's okay or not depends on fate. Also, it's really outrageous. When did this martial arts court come out? Why didn't I remember this dynasty on the blue star? Is it possible that the Ming dynasty had a different person? I still know the Ming emperor's surname Zhu, but now it's Zhou, so I have to call it the Great Zhou dynasty. It can only explain one thing: crossing the parallel realm, it seems that the court of Dawu is equally corrupt. I also hope that the court here can be a bit confused. Those civil servants are all old foxes, thieves and thieves. Hey! Let's just think about it and fool it. The Dawu court, Beijing, within the imperial palace, Daming Palace heart-nourishing hall, Emperor Zhou Shihong, who had just ascended to the throne, was still looking at the memorial. Dai Quan, the head of the imperial household department next to him, carefully poured tea for the holy emperor. Dai Quan. Has Zhou Shiren already led his army to Pingyang County City now? Your Majesty, it's almost time to calculate. I don't know what's going on in Pingyang Commandery City. It's just a lonely city in the northeast, easy to attack but difficult to defend. The Jurchen people are coming with great force again this time. I'm afraid there may be changes in the northeast. Emperor Wu Zhou Shihong said anxiously. Your Majesty, please rest assured that the reinforcements this time are all elite troops from the northeastern region of Guanyi. With a force of 200,000 and Zhang Jinyu's 50,000 troops, there is more than enough to defend the city. At worst, there is still a large amount of military equipment and provisions there, and even if we endure it, we can kill him. Dai Quan has been the interior manager for many years and has many eyeliner. The Imperial City Department, responsible for espionage, is also under his control and well aware of military affairs. The Luoyun Plain in the northeast cannot be abandoned, which is a land of royal hegemony, especially the Luoyun Lake in the center of the plain, which is the largest lake in the northeast. The development and growth of any tribe must have sufficient water sources, and Luoyun Lake is located in the center of the plain. When Emperor Taishang was in power, Pingyang City was built on the high ground on the east side of the lake with all the strength of the country in order to gain control of the Luoyun Plain and block the pace of nomadic tribes from invading the territory. It has been proven to be very effective. Although several dominant tribes have appeared on the grasslands in the past 20 years, often harassing the border of Dawu, direct invasion is difficult. Pay more attention to the letters over there. What are the 4 kings and 8 nobles in the capital doing now? Emperor Wu suddenly asked about the founding dignitaries of the capital. Dai Quan's heart tightened. Most of the nobles in the capital had a close relationship with the emperor, and he knew that this involved the emperor and the emperor's family affairs, which involved a lot. Can only return cautiously, Your Majesty, everything is still the same. There is nothing remarkable about it. It is during this period that the old lady in the Ronghua mansion in the capital has been wanting to celebrate his precious grandson's birthday, so these days she has been inviting these nobles to gather at the Ronghua mansion. Ronghua mansion. Jia Yuan, Jia Deishan. Now it should be Jia Shi who attacks him. Zhou Shihong asked with some uncertainty. After all, he had just ascended the throne for a few years, and the younger generation of noble children couldn't remember clearly. Yes, Your Majesty, Ronghua Mansion is now Jia Shijue, any other Shenwei general, whose son Jia Lian has donated a 5-grade colleague. Dai Quan carefully introduced. Hey, that's not right. What kind of treasure is this birthday celebration? What is this treasure? I deserve to die, it's because the old slave didn't explain it clearly. This Jia Baoyu is the son of Jia Zheng, the second son of Grand Prince Shi. He was born with the title of Jade, and caused trouble in the capital for a long time. Later, the emperor bestowed a bounty, saying that even Xiangrui didn't cause any trouble. Oh. I heard about this back then, so this precious jade is truly extraordinary. Do I remember Jia Zheng now serving as the head of the Ministry of Works? Your Majesty, yes. Find an opportunity to mention him. Like a father, like a son. Like a son, a father is always close. When is it now? It's already 5 hours, Your Majesty. It's almost time, I'll set up the Changle Palace to pay my respects to the emperor. Follow the instructions. Zhou Shihong led Dai Quan out of the heart-nourishing hall, and Dai Quan shouted loudly, "Set up your carriage, Changle Palace." Numerous eunuchs and palace maids immediately knelt down to welcome the emperor, and when Emperor Wu entered the sedan chair and sat securely, Dai Quan just shouted from the side, "Start driving." As they slowly walked towards the Changle Palace, eunuchs and palace maids along the way all knelt on the side from afar to show respect. In no time, the team is about to reach the Changle Palace. From a distance, I saw Xia Shouzhong, the chief attendant of the Changle Palace, leading people to inspect the post. When I saw the emperor coming, I immediately knelt down and greeted him, shouting loudly, "The emperor is blessed with good luck. Greetings to the emperor." Flatten. Has the emperor rested yet? The voice of Emperor Wu came from the sedan chair, "Your Majesty Xia, return to the emperor. The emperor has just had dinner and is now walking around the palace to digest his food." "Well, I got it." As they spoke, the team walked to the entrance of the Changle Palace. "Get off the sedan chair. The emperor has arrived." Upon hearing the sound, Emperor Wu steadily stepped out of the sedan chair. After seeing the emperor step out of the sedan chair, Xia Shouzhong quickly shouted at the entrance of the palace, "The emperor has arrived." Emperor Wu glared at Xia Shouzhong without stopping and walked straight into the main hall. The spacious hall was not filled with many precious items, just a chair and a desk, while the emperor walked back and forth in the center of the hall. After seeing the figure of the former emperor, Zhou Shihong took a few steps forward and knelt down. Emperor Zhou Shihong pays his respects to the Supreme Emperor. "Oh. It's the emperor. Get up, what's going on today?" Emperor Zhou Xingzhua asked as he walked, returning to the emperor. "My son is thinking of the emperor today, so he came to pay his respects to his father." "Shihong, you, tell me what's going on." Emperor Zhou Xingzhua asked again. "I can't hide anything from my father. My son is a bit worried about the situation in northeast China, and I don't know what's going on with Xi'an either. Your unreliable younger brother, if you don't let him go, it's not easy. Is that place inhabited by people? Didn't you mention it? If there's something, just let the 4 Wangs and 8 Gongs handle it. I remember that the city governor of Pingyang County is Zhang Jinyu, who is also a martial arts aristocratic family. The Zhang family also has 2 brushes, and it's not easy to defend the city there. With his assistance, let's wait and see the result." "What else is there?" The mention of Prince Zhou Shiren by the Supreme Emperor was also full of displeasure. Zhou Shihong, on the other hand, was someone who didn't want to use the 4 kings and 8 princes deep down in his heart. He was surrounded by the emperor, and his heart was filled with resentment. "Emperor Tai, there is a happy occasion. In the Ronghua mansion in the capital, Grand Prince Shi is preparing to celebrate her grandson Jia Baoyu's birthday. I am thinking about preparing some gifts and favors for her." "Well, this is a good thing, Jia Daishan from Ronghua mansion. Xia Shouzhong, remember this for me, and I will also give some favor when the time comes. Follow the instructions." Xia Shouzhong immediately knelt down to answer. "What else is there, Your Majesty?" "Father, there's one more thing for my son. Let's see if we can bring it up to Jiajing next year and give it to an official. What do you think? You can handle this on your own, there's no need to ask me repeatedly." "Alright, it's getting late too. The emperor should rest early too." Zhou Xingzhua nodded in satisfaction. "Father, please rest well. My son, please leave." After finishing speaking, Emperor Wu walked out of the Changle Palace and waited for the sedan chair. After sitting inside, his face instantly became a bit chilly. It was a desire for power, even father and son were no exception. Dawu Northeast, Pingyang County City. The generals of Zhang Mansion led their troops overnight to recruit reinforcements and install legitimate officers, and the process was very mundane. After all, it has been rumored that the deputy generals who held the orders of Prince Zhou and the main general of Pingyang during the day have already died. Ning Bian also took over the large warehouse of Pingyang city with his men holding orders, and began distributing military uniforms, armor, bows, crossbows, arrows, and other military supplies. Everyone was busy and didn't finish until late at night. After a brief tidying up, they hastily went to rest. But Zhang Jinyu couldn't sleep on the bed. One is to worry about tomorrow's war. Second, I was worried about the orphanage of Blue Star, and there were so many brothers and sisters to take care of. They must be very sad when they suddenly left. Thinking for a while, I fell asleep in a daze. Of course, he never admits that there are still many good aunties who haven't answered their calls, which is a bit regrettable. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The first battle shocking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The first battle shocking. Woo-woo. 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 The mournful sound of the horn resounded throughout the entire city of Pingyang, both inside and outside. Zhang Jinyu stood guard on the east wall with his soldiers, watching the serious faces of many soldiers. Not to mention, he was quite excited in his heart. He touched his armor again, and only then did he feel a little comforted. Zhang Jinyu looked up at the Jurchen camp outside, shocked and numb to the point where words could not describe the real cold weapon battlefield of the feudal era. Especially the Jurchen cavalry unit. I have only seen it on Blue Star TV before and have never seen it before. Only then did I realize that the real Jurchen cavalry is truly powerful and fierce. Zhang Jinyu finally understood what a nation on horseback means. The cavalry of nomadic tribes is indeed a natural choice. On the vast grassland, a well-trained elite cavalry can easily achieve the state of unity between humans and horses, which is incomprehensible. From their casual horse riding movements, one can see how skilled they are, truly worthy of being a famous warrior on the Jurchen cavalry grassland. Looking back on the past when the cavalry dueled inside and outside the Blue Star Pass, it seems like they didn't win a few times. It's really troublesome now. This is not a hasty battle as Zhang Jinyu had thought before. It seems that Huang Jitai wants to take over the Pingyang county city, then slowly erode it, monopolize the Luoyun plain, establish a hegemonic position, and sit here to compete with the great martial arts. Ningbian, let the guards communicate and prepare for Zhang Wenqing's 4th Battalion and Zhang Mingzhi's 7th Battalion. I'm afraid it will be troublesome today. The Jurchen has put in a lot of effort this time and told the brothers to use more weapons such as bows, crossbows, arrows, and arrows to defend the city. Please take good care of them. Yes, General. Immediately arrange for the guards to deliver the message. Outside the city, Huang Jitai, the great Khan of Nven, also gathered a good team in a leisurely manner. In addition to the 50,000 troops left behind, the 200,000 troops oppressed Pingyang city with the overwhelming force of Mount Tai, and also showed the strength of their elite troops to the defenders. Last time, we ambushed the commander of the Dawu reinforcements. Although some people broke through, we almost completely annihilated all the cavalry. I believe that without the elite defenders commanded by the main general, there would be a lack of soul. This is a divine opportunity. The massive military formation also stopped 2 miles outside the moat, which is the distance beyond the effective shooting range of the crossbow on the city bed. Huang Jitai stood at the front of the queue and looked at the wide moat ahead, truly deserving of being the largest fortified city in the Luoyun plain. Then, with a wave of his hand, the mournful horn sounded again in the military formation, woo-woo. 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 Upon hearing the signal of attack, the army formation in front of the Jurchen moved. The infantry in front directly put down their weapons, picked up the already filled sand and soil belt, and then each carried a sand and soil bag and rushed towards the river, initiating the first wave of landfill operations. The team behind took the shovel sandbags to dig and bag on the spot. The dust was flying and the work was hot. It was like following the construction site. It was not environmentally friendly. If it was at Blue Star, it would immediately report him to make him so arrogant. Huang Jitai was still dissatisfied with the speed of landfilling and asked the cavalry to lay down their weapons and start a transportation team. The cavalry picked up sandbags and placed them on horses to form a pack horse team. Then they ran to the river and threw the sandbags into the river before quickly withdrawing, which was much faster than the infantry. In addition, Huang Jitai arranged for Jurchen soldiers to stand in front of the moat with shields in formation, while Jurchen soldiers from behind raised their long bows and launched dense projectiles towards the city wall on the east bank of the moat as a cover attack, hoping to disrupt the defenders' line of sight and reduce their losses. The period during which cities were attacked and killed the most in all dynasties was when the moat was buried, because it was a passive situation and no matter how anxious it was useless. Yesterday, only a small road was buried, and the losses were so severe. Now that we need to fill the section of the moat on a large scale, we don't know how many casualties there will be. The crucial path was cut off again last night, with most of it being cut off. Huang Jitai directly ordered his trusted general He Lianqian to lead his troops to supervise the battle. Anyone who retreats must be killed and the moat must be filled today. On the walls of the city, the generals at all levels of the defending army and the grassroots colonels were also well prepared. They ordered the soldiers of their headquarters to stand in formation, line up, raise their crossbows and long bows, aim at the enemy, and shoot the crossbows and arrows without interruption, row after row, whoosh. 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 Crossbows and arrows kept falling on the team of Jurchen landfill workers outside the moat, causing significant damage in the dense team. After a moment, a blank space appeared in the team's shadow. Especially the lathe crossbow has been added to the attack sequence. A giant arrow over 1 meter long can cause terrifying penetrating damage, and a single shot can cause massive damage in the enemy's team. A few people wearing it together are extremely bloody. Every time I see this place, many soldiers will be scared and stand still. At this time, the Haranchin commander in chief team will come over, and anyone who only stays for a while will be directly killed by the following commander in chief team. So no matter how much casualties there are, the speed of landfilling has not decreased at all. Zhang Jinyu, standing on the city wall, saw the situation outside and his face turned pale. He tried his best to endure something. This is really a dead person. The red, white, and yellow ones make me feel nauseous. Hold back, nausea, nauseous, still unable to resist, Zhang Jinyu squatted down and spat a few bites. General, are you okay? Zhang Jiawu and Ning Bian asked with concern from the side. It's okay, I'm okay. I just had a little cold and felt a bit uncomfortable. Zhang Jinyu retorted stiffly, looking at the Jurchen outside the city who had not been affected at all. Jiawu, the enemy's landfill speed hasn't slowed down at all. Think of a way. Then use the catapult now to directly strike the rear army formation, and it's better to kill a little more. Okay, concentrate on shooting towards the dense area behind the Jurchen's army formation, don't worry about the front. It's the general. Zhang Jiawu returned to the city wall and arranged for the deputy general to command the soldiers to prepare the catapult. Prepare for throwing stones, release. With a command, stones of different sizes were thrown high and accurately fell into the camp behind the Jurchen, causing huge inertial ejection damage. The Jurchen cavalry who were hit were all either killed or injured, and the injured could hardly survive. Not to mention that, especially in infantry formations where dense formations add damage to catapults, the soldiers who were directly knocked down in the military formation were blood and flesh blurred, one at a time, with several or more people standing together, all unable to stand up and unaware of their life or death. In the neat formation, gaps appeared one by one. Huang Jitai felt a pang of heartache when he saw it, and quickly made the army retreat 4 miles before stopping. He saw the gaps in the formation one by one, and his mouth twitched in waves. This retreat doesn't matter, the main force has widened the distance from the front, directly causing a significant decrease in the speed of landfill and an increase in casualties. Hu Yanhan and other Jurchen generals also had a haze on their faces. On the first day of the siege, the losses were so great that it was truly the largest fortified city in the northern part of Dawu. It would be great if we could capture it as our Jurchen Khanate. The morning passed quickly, and as the sun in the east had already risen to its highest point, the call of the Jurchen soldiers finally sounded, and the soldiers on both sides breathed a sigh of relief. The army of Jurchen people has already buried pots and cooked rice directly behind them, and it seems that they are not ready to go back to camp and strike. After seeing the Jurchen retreat, Zhang Jinyu also asked Zhang Jiawu to pull them down to eat. In the afternoon, ask Zhang Jiawan to bring the reserve soldiers to replace the soldiers guarding the city this morning. The intention is very simple, it is to add fuel tactics and vehicle will warfare, using physically strong soldiers to maintain their combat effectiveness and lethality through urban defense facilities. In the afternoon, just completed a large-scale upgrade of the city defense, the Jurchen began her morning siege work again. Brave and fearless to die, the moat is buried. Looking down from the city, the moat is buried at a speed visible to the naked eye. The Jurchen completely disregarded casualties and was truly a model of dedication, which Zhang Jinyu couldn't help but admire. But we still have to stop it. Zhang Jiawan, increase your attack power. It's the general. In the first row, concentrate on throwing, then follow in the second row with a 15-breath interval. First row, prepare, let go. Second row, prepare, let go. After several rounds of repetition, combined with the attacks of the catapult and crossbow, a large portion of the people on the opposite side were cleared, and the effective formation on the opposite side could not be formed immediately. Huang Jitai looked at the brave warriors on the other side with a gloomy expression as he recklessly shot and killed his subordinates, his anger seeming to be about to erupt from his eyes. Hu Yanhan, let's withdraw our troops. Sweat, we're organizing this once. Before Hu Yanhan could finish speaking, he immediately swallowed the unspoken words when he saw the gloomy expression on De Han's face. Hurry up, Naruto has withdrawn his troops. Get everyone back. After hearing the signal of retreat, the soldiers of the Jurchen quickly retreated without any hesitation and quickly left the dangerous area, gathering on both sides of the main force. After each 1,000 households had a simple reorganization of their troops, they slowly withdrew from the camp with skillful and calm movements. Standing on the city tower, Zhang Jinyu sighed as she watched the Nven training with ease. As expected, the Jurchen soldiers are well trained, tenacious in combat, and have strict discipline from superiors to subordinates, which is truly impressive. Huang Jitai has such a strong army, no wonder he has won numerous battles, which has caused great headaches both inside and outside the court. This siege battle is still the same. Without properly filling the moat, Huang Jitai, the Jurchen, don't come up and try to engage in face-to-face combat. After counting, there were still more than 2,000 casualties. After inspecting the wounds, they were all directly shot by the Jurchen's bow and arrow, piercing through the weak points of the armor. The most critical ones died on the spot, while the others were minor injuries. Zhang Jinyu requested that the doctors and military doctors in the city be concentrated to treat the injured soldiers. Don't be afraid of wasting medicinal herbs. Use all kinds of healing medicine, and the cost will come from the general's mansion. After this command was issued, all the soldiers secretly appreciated it. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The military spirit is everywhere. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The military spirit is everywhere. After arranging various matters for guarding the city, Zhang Jinyu left the city. Afterwards, he took Ningbian and the guards of the general's mansion to the hospital in the city to see the injured soldiers. Zhang Jinyu was also curious about how the wounded were treated in this era. There were no painkillers, anti-inflammatory drugs, or alcohol. When they arrived at the hospital, before anyone could enter, they could smell the iron smell coming from inside the door. Take a look inside. The scene of the doctor's treatment was very bloody. After all, there were no modern medical equipment to use, and they were all using roasted swords to cut and dig arrows inside the meat. I thought it was difficult for wounded soldiers to survive in this era, but after seeing how the doctor treated the wounds of wounded soldiers for a while, this idea was left behind, and the doctor's technique was very sharp. After digging out the arrow, the wound was cleaned with boiling water, then gold wound medicine was poured and wrapped with sun-dried gauze. The entire process went smoothly. Looking at the wounded soldier's wound again, the blood only stopped in a short while. It's amazing. Zhang Jinyu was simply amazed. Indeed, we cannot underestimate people of any era. The operations of this doctor are equivalent to the cleaning, disinfection, medication, and bandaging of nurses on Blue Star, but they are not as advanced. Watching so many wounded soldiers with painful expressions on their faces, I really couldn't bear it. The small number of people hadn't noticed yet, and the large number of people were howling and feeling very desolate. Zhang Jinyu walked into the middle of the crowd, promise in front of everyone, all injured individuals will receive double their monthly salary and 5 times the compensation for deceased individuals. Their sons can directly inherit their father's throne and be demoted to 1 level for appointment. After recovering from minor injuries, personnel will return to the army and receive half a month's salary. For soldiers who are seriously injured or disabled, they will be arranged to serve as soldiers and horses in the city. The general's office will not abandon anyone who has shed blood for our general's office in Pingyang. This order is to inform the entire army in the city. After hearing the promise of the commander, all the wounded soldiers knelt down to show gratitude, and everyone's faces were filled with joy. "Step out of the clinic," Ning Bian asked beside him in confusion. "Sir, why are you so good to wounded soldiers? Can't you tell that? To win the hearts of the military." "But my lord, the cost is too high. The compensation for casualties is the same in every place. Moreover, in the subsequent big war, the number of casualties will not be limited to these 2,000 people." Ning Bian mentioned the key, the number of casualties. It's easy to say if there are too few people, but if there are too many people, they can't afford to pay for it. Ning Bian, let me ask you. People like us who come from noble backgrounds have never lacked food, drink, or money since we were young, but what about them? At first, they fought for the country and the great military, and at last, they fought for the Zhang family and me, Zhang Jinyu. They were originally the backbone of the family. If they died in battle, they could still be relieved with a pension. If they were disabled and not killed, not only would they not be able to support their families in the future, but they would also be a burden to the family. How could they survive? Money is not brought with them, and death is not taken with them. We should consider the affairs behind our brothers. Why worry about major issues not arising, and the Jurchen will not be destroyed? Moreover, keep the ashes of the deceased brothers. I plan to build a hero's temple in the city and put their ashes inside for future generations to admire. We cannot let them be lonely souls and wild ghosts. Zhang Jinyu said with emotion, carrying the same set of equality views as Blue Star. "Sir, your kindness is admirable. I have no words for my humble position." Ning Bian was deeply moved by Zhang Jinyu's heartfelt words. It is our luck to have such a side with the general who has been with him for so many years. And this is something that wounded soldiers throughout history have wanted to say but dare not say. Even the dead soldiers were hastily buried and didn't even consider what was going on behind them. As for whether the family members could receive the pension, there were still 2 opinions. No one dared to ask this question before, but now it has been openly spoken by our own adults, which is deafening. What Zhang Jinyu did not notice was that the guards around him looked at him with fanaticism and firm belief in their eyes. When Zhang Jinyu returned to his mansion to finish his meal and rest, his words were intentionally spread by Ning Bian in the city camp. And it has taken root in the hearts of all the reinforcements, invisibly enhancing cohesion. The command transmission and execution of the Zhang family generals have become smoother and faster. Outside Pingyang County, to the east, Jurchen Camp, the area around the Huang Jitai Khan's tent is heavily guarded, and the Khan's court guards within a 100-meter radius of the Jurchen Khan's tent are armed with curved swords and wearing heavy armor, patrolling the area back and forth. In the big tent, Huang Jitai sat high in the main seat, sweeping the crowd with an invisible aura in his eyes. The generals of various Jurchen tribes unconsciously lowered their heads, avoiding the gaze of the Khan. "Come on, let's talk about it all. What's going on today? I can't even fill a moat." Upon hearing Khan's question, the crowd shrank their necks and no one spoke. "You're all dumbfounded, Helian Chen. Can you talk about today's casualties and let them hear?" Seeing no one speaking, Huang Jitai's tone became even more suppressed and he directly named Helianchen. "Report to the Great Khan. Today, 10 teams of 10,000 soldiers, including 4 teams of 10,000 cavalry, have been deployed. More than half of the moat has been buried, but it has slowed down later due to the reduced attack distance of the defenders and the high killing power of crossbows and arrows. After retreating, I left guard cavalry there to prevent the enemy from digging and filling the soil." Helian Chen avoided the topic and selectively reported on the war situation, but his voice also became quieter as he saw the Khan staring into his eyes. "That's it, what I'm asking you is how many people were injured or killed today. Don't talk to me about anything else." Huang Jitai became increasingly angry as he thought about it, and asked with a dark face, "Hui Dehan, 6,000 people died today, 10,000 were injured, and 3,000 were seriously injured. They can hardly survive tonight." Helianchen's sideburns were already sweating profusely, and the others were not much better either. "Very good, nearly 10,000 people died and 10,000 were injured in just one day. A total of 20,000 warriors have lost their combat effectiveness, and the moat has not been filled yet. So if we wait a few more days, how much more can our 250,000 army still have? Report to the Great Khan, there is no need for him to be in a hurry. Regardless of the direction of the siege, the attacking side will inevitably suffer losses, especially this moat, which has been filled with human lives throughout history. Today's defenders have indeed performed exceptionally well, and we have somewhat underestimated the enemy. Great Khan, tomorrow we can use the siege iron shield to cover the city. There is only a little moat left, and it won't take another morning to complete the landfill. Moreover, for our rear troops, I suggest that except for those who are on guard, everyone rest in place, stay strong, and wait until the front troops have completed the task of landfill. Then let the rear troops attack the city and let the soldiers of Dawu know the strength of our Jurchen warriors." Helianchen's tone appeared very confident. After hearing these words, everyone nodded repeatedly. Huang Jitai's face also softened a lot. "Helianchen still looks like this. We will do it tomorrow. As long as the people in front are buried, the army in the back will be divided into 10 square formations, each with 10,000 people. They will take turns attacking the city without stopping. Let them know the strength of the Jurchen warriors." "Yes," sweating profusely. The generals responded loudly, and Huang Jitai nodded in satisfaction. "Let's all go down and rest. Xie Dehan should rest early too." After speaking, everyone emerged from the large tent one by one. Pingyang County City, General's Mansion, at the back door, Ning Bian was leading the guards to transport boxes, and boxes of all sizes were neatly arranged in the warehouse in the backyard. Zhang Jinyu stood in the warehouse, looking at the boxes filled with money, and nodded in satisfaction. "How many boxes in total?" "Lord Hui, there are 100 boxes of silver, 1 box of 10,000 taels of silver, 10 boxes of calligraphy in painting antiques, 10 boxes of precious items such as jade, and about 100,000 taels of gold." "Great, leave a box of silver. You can take 1,000 taels and keep them for yourself. The remaining 9,000 taels will be distributed among the brothers in the mansion." "Sir, I." "Listen to me, yes." When everyone is busy and everything is ready, Zhang Jinyu personally locked the door and placed it on herself, arranged guards to take turns and continuously guard this place. Before taking a breath, I heard a message from the gatekeeper ahead that Shen Baichuan, 1,000 households from the Imperial City Department of Pingyang County, came to visit. Zhang Jinyu and Ning Bian glanced at each other, maybe they were discovered. As if realizing his own question, Ning Bian quickly recalled it and did not reveal anything. Sir, it's impossible to discover it. From discovery, counting, and handling, we all use our own people in our mansion. The transportation process is mixed with the transportation of military equipment, grain, and grass. They are transported separately to different places, making it difficult to be discovered. Well, whether or not it's been discovered, how could this food that got into the stomach be vomited out? Let's go, we'll meet him. After speaking, he walked towards the front hall with steps that he didn't recognize. Thank you for reading. I don't quite understand how to manage a book, but I will persist in writing it. Each chapter should be over 2,500 words. Thank you all. There may be some changes in the middle, but I have been constantly changing the plot during the writing process and haven't figured it out well, so I apologize. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Everyone has a fantasy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Everyone has a fantasy. Outside the northeast pass of Dawu, Pingyang County City, defending General Zhang's mansion, as the resident of the Imperial City Department in Pingyang County, Shen Baichuan has been seeking to be transferred from this place, but has never been successful. Not to mention that it's not good here, it's really not good. People who get cold and frozen in winter can't bear it. Secondly, they feel unsafe now. There are always Jurchen cavalry everywhere, and if something is not good, it's explained here. Since the fall of the Jurchen at the mouth of the valley on the east side of the Luoyun Plain, Pingliao City has become unsafe. Without the dangerous pass of Pingliao City, there is almost a daily danger of being visited by Jurchen people on the Luoyun Plain. He had already heard about what happened outside the city yesterday. The reason why I didn't come to discuss yesterday was because I still had a lucky mentality. Maybe the prince and his companions could come back safely, but to my surprise, these 2 days have passed and I haven't even seen a horse's hair. It's probably more ominous than good. I came today to inquire about the whereabouts of King Zhongshuan Zhou Shuren and the esteemed generals, to see if there is any good solution for the garrison. As for the estimated 20,000 cavalry, they are also gone. I will also discuss with Zhang Shoubei how to resolve this matter. If we can't handle it properly, let alone transfer it, it's just a question of whether our heads can still be saved. Zhang Jinyu also walked into the reception hall feeling a bit guilty, letting Ning Bian and others relax outside. As soon as I entered, I saw the restless Imperial City Minister Qianhu sitting there in a daze, looking worried. I thought to myself, may I have discovered it? Has the person across from me not figured out how to ask? I won't admit it even if I die. Cough. Shen Qianhu, what wind brought you here? Zhang Jinyu coughed nervously and first asked. Shen Baichuan, who was sitting on the stool, was suddenly startled by the sound of questioning and jumped up with excitement. His large movements also startled Zhang Jinyu. What's on Qianhu's mind? He's so restless. Zhang Jinyu was a bit puzzled. It didn't seem like it was about asking about money. It's Zhang Shoubei, no wonder, fool, this is worrying about our lives and finances. Zhang Jinyu was also a bit confused when she heard Shen Baichuan's heavy words coming up. Why is this not only about wanting money, but also about risking one's life? No. Absolutely not. Tell Shen Qianhu, what's going on? As soon as he arrived, he took it easy. Zhang Jinyu also put down his burden and came over to sit down and ask. That's all, brother you. Zhang Shoubei also knows about yesterday's incident. The whereabouts of Prince Zhou and all the generals are unknown, and the lives and deaths of 20,000 soldiers are unknown. How can we explain this to the court? What does Zhang Shoubei think? Zhang Jinyu breathed a sigh of relief. It wasn't that the money was discovered, that's good. As for why she didn't look, I just sat and watched. Shen Qianhu, if you have something to say, I shouldn't have thought about it, should I? The report is about your Imperial City Department, and I am just a defending general. Do you still have to say something about it one day? Zhang Jinyu poured herself a cup of tea, took a sip, and then continued, as for how to look, have you seen the Jurchen camp outside the city? What should they think? The moat should be filled tomorrow. What should you think, Shen Qianhu? Upon hearing this, Shen Baichuan's face turned like that of a deceased relative, his eyes lifeless, and he sat there muttering to himself, so, then, why don't we just die? Seeking survival in the face of death, how should Shen Qianhu choose? Seeing Shen Qianhu tangled up like this, Zhang Jinyu had an idea in her heart. If she conspired to give the court a white lie, for example, now all parties are strengthening the Pingyang county city. The sunny Luoyang plain is what everyone wants, and Zhang Jinyu also wants it. If we take down Pingliao city in the east and close the east gate of the plain, there will be no crossing of people and horses in the Tianbai mountains to the north, and Pingyang city to the west of the plain. We are trying to find a way to get it. The 100-year plan of the Zhang family has laid the foundation in their own hands, and it is truly a promising future. Apart from anything else, the Earth Emperor has made a decision, and whether they can continue to rise in the future depends on the opportunity. It's not Zhang Jinyu's fantasy, it's the Dawu dynasty that is still implementing the system of military governors, who are all held by these founding nobles, but have always held important positions in the Guanyi region. As for the border, there are very few high-ranking officials appointed here, because the border has been plagued by long-term wars, and those wealthy families, high-ranking nobles, and others do not want to come here. So the defending general, who claims to be the largest city in the north, would not have been Zhang Jinyu. If it weren't for the unique fur and precious medicinal herbs and ginseng in Tianbai Mountain, the city of Pingyang would have been deserted long ago. So this matter, whether it's fantasy or dreaming, let's see if there's a chance, or in case the emperor agrees. If this person doesn't have fantasies, what's the difference between them and salted fish? Upon hearing Zhang Jinyu's words, Shen Baichuan felt that there was something in the words, as if there was another layer of meaning, so he asked, General Zhang, let's just make it clear. Let's exchange opinions. Let's add up the total. Okay, I won't be careless either. I think the troops led by the loyal and obedient prince are more or less unlucky. Although today is not a formal battle, we fought against the Jurchen so badly, and we didn't see him pulling the prince and these people forward to threaten us. This illustrates 3 points. Which 3 points? Shen Qianhu followed closely and asked, the first point is that the people led by the prince were all killed in battle, and not a single one was caught. The second point is that if they were caught, they still don't know their identities, but it's unlikely. If they don't reveal their identities to the Jurchen people, they would be slaves. These officials can handle it. The third point is that some of them died in battle, and the others broke through and escaped, but now they don't know where they have escaped. Shen Baichuan also seriously pondered Zhang Jinyu's words. All 3 of these could be possible. Previously, caring was chaotic, and he lost his sense of propriety for a moment. Now, let's think carefully, it's unlikely that all the soldiers died in battle. It's still possible for the generals and elite guards to break through. It is possible to be caught, but judging from today's siege, the probability is not very high. Then escape, run south. It will take 3 more days from here to the south to Pingyao city, why not wait? What the general said is reasonable. Wait a bit longer, it should be a breakthrough to the south. The 3-day journey from Pingyao city in the south to our place has already passed for 2 days. We will know the news tomorrow, and the pigeon will arrive on the day of the message. Shen Qianhu just breathed a sigh, as long as nothing happened. Shen Qianhu, don't think too much of good things. The Pingyao city governor and the prefect have already left. Should I send someone to lead 5,000 people to guard the city for now, otherwise our future will be cut off? Don't you know about this? What? I don't know, right? That Zhou Wangye didn't know at the time. Shen Qianhu looked surprised. He really didn't know that the Imperial City Department of Pingyao City had not sent a message to Pingyang County. According to the deputy generals in the reinforcements, they didn't even enter Pingyao city and came directly to our city of Pingyang. If anyone who broke through would inevitably inquire about Pingyao city, and if they knew that the defending general and the prefect had fled, there would be no more than 10,000 soldiers inside. Would you stay? This. Damn it. Shen Qianhu was completely trapped by Zhang Jinyu's words now, so scared that he knelt down and hugged Zhang Jinyu's thigh. General Zhang, for the sake of our colleagues' many years, please save me. I don't even know about the escape of the Pingyao city governor, which means that the 100 households of the Imperial City Department there have also followed suit. I am seriously derelict of duty, and I have to sit together in the Imperial City Department. Watching Shen Qianhu kneel with a nose full of tears, Zhang Jinyu quickly helped Shen Qianhu up and grabbed Shen Baichuan, who still wanted to kneel, and said sincerely, "My Baichuan brother, what can't be saved? We've been working together for so many years and still talk about this. If I say that, then we're all grasshoppers on a rope. It's up to you whether you dare to do it or not. Zhang Xiandi, what do you think we should do? It's all for this. If they dare to do it in the first year of junior high school, I dare to do it in the 15th. Shen Baichuan gritted his teeth in response, thinking of being tricked by his subordinates. Shen Baichuan also made up his mind to launch a fierce counterattack. Anyway, this situation is already the case, no matter how poor it is. Officials and generals in the city who leave their posts without permission are likely to be killed in Dawu, not to mention that the Imperial City Department is a servant of the royal guards. It all depends on the emperor's mood. The internal Imperial City Office implements a system of sitting together, and without a suitable excuse, it will be the end of itself, and the remaining days will not be many. Okay, Shen Shixiang is straightforward. Then I'll tell you what. I want to be the only military governor on the Luoyun plain. After hearing this, Shen Baichuan was shocked and widened his eyes to look at Zhang Jinyu. He took a deep breath. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Let's discuss together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Let's discuss together. Pingyang County City, at Zhang Jinyu's mansion, in the reception hall, Shen Baichuan sat there in a daze. After drinking a cup of tea, this is just a moment of relief. Young man, do you really dare to think that this is such a big territory? You actually want to be the only military governor, and your current title is only the 4th grade cavalry captain. This is common in the Dawu capital. It's all a rotten street. It's a noble son. He's a 5th grade 3rd class guard or a 5th grade assistant, right? Zhang Jinyu saw Shen Baichuan's hesitant words just now and directly spoke them for him. So, wise brother. Do you still want to? I think so. Why don't I think so? Don't brother Shen want to sit up, be the Imperial City Manager, Assistant Minister, Left Commander, or go even higher? Zhang Jinyu asked seductively, who wouldn't want to? With so many big heads pressing on top, it's just a dream. So let's add it up now. How can we do it? What if this idea works? Are you talking about passing fake messages and playing games? Shen Qianhu immediately thought of the only way to change everything. Dare not? Zhang Jinyu asked. Dare, I really want to sit up and take a seat. What do you think I should do, wise brother? Seeing Shen Baichuan with a firm expression on his face, Zhang Jinyu has just completed the first step of his plan. If the Imperial City Department does not cooperate, it will be troublesome. Let an evil person file a complaint first, and a flying pigeon will send a message to the capital, accusing the defending generals and prefects of losing Pingyao City and fleeing to be occupied by the Jurchen at a very low cost. This is one of them. Shen Baichuan looked at Zhang Jinyu in confusion. My dear brother, this escape is true. How could it be said that the Jurchen people have occupied Pingyao City? Besides, the defenders there will know as soon as they ask, so they are afraid of further investigation. Brother, Pingyao City has already been under my control, with a garrison of 20,000 soldiers. It's not our own responsibility to investigate and investigate. If we don't say it's more serious, how can we make a big contribution later on? Shen Baichuan looked at the smaller general in front of him and couldn't help but admire him. Okay. That's it. What about the second one? Secondly, it means that Prince Zhou disregarded the advice of the defending General Zhang Jinyu without authorization, led his troops to attack the ambush, broke through the encirclement to the south, and left behind a 300,000-strong army. Upon hearing this, Shen Baichuan also widened his eyes and looked at Zhang Jinyu. Although it was not a ridiculous matter, you dared to do such an outrageous thing. This fake military order was passed down. My wise brother is really different from ordinary people. I have nothing to say for my brother. What about the next one? Zhang Jinyu took a sip of tea and continued speaking. With the rescue of Zhang Jinyu, the commander of Pingyang County, the reinforcements were successfully rescued. They have now entered the city, but have been followed by the main force of Jurchen. Now, Pingyang County is surrounded by 250,000 elite members of Jurchen Khan Huang Jitai, who have died. Pingyang City is in imminent danger. Shen Baichuan, a lowly official, is willing to defend Pingyang County with General Zhang Jinyu until their death in battle. They are loyal to Dawu and the Emperor. On the night of October 21st, the 55th year of the Dawu calendar, they will be loyal to Dawu and the Emperor. Upon hearing this admiration, Shen Baichuan threw himself all over the ground, putting aside the lies. It's just a demon to think of such a situation. I'm really afraid of this person, but fortunately they are from the same boat. I understand what the wise brother means. The more serious the statement, the more meritorious the reversal will be. However, there are 3 points that the wise brother must solve. What are the 3 points? Brother, please tell me. Firstly, there should be no opposition or different voices among the reinforcements. Secondly, is it possible to win this battle? Obviously, Huang Jitai wants to seize this place and achieve hegemony. Thirdly, if we send out the letter, there is no room for maneuver. You have offended Sun Gui to death. Shen Baichuan also put forward 3 of his own views. Brother, let me answer. Firstly, I controlled the reinforcements of the camp overnight. Otherwise, the Jurchen would have fought under the city gate today. Secondly, I can't guarantee that I can hold on. I saw that this Jurchen is indeed elite today, so I'm gambling. Thirdly, I can't guarantee that I can survive. Why bother with them? Besides, why did I offend them to death? Zhang Jinyu has some doubts about this point. Shen Baichuan happily explained, there are also wise men who don't know. The commander in charge of the army this time is Prince Zhou, but the generals below are all noble and their interests are all related to relatives. You know what? Of course, I also offended him to death. Upon hearing Shen Qianhu's words, Zhang Jinyu suddenly realized, the founding nobles, 4 kings, 8 nobles, and 12 marquises are all close relatives, which is difficult to deal with. But what matters to me is military power. Let's talk about that in the future, and now we only consider our own interests. Of course, those nobles have never seen us, the people of the Imperial City Department, wise brothers. These 3 letters, as I said, were sent to the capital and became popular. Do you think there is anything else that needs to be explained? Well, senior brother, you should send it in order of 3 times, with a little time interval. Once it's done, I'll send the urgent items from the Ministry of War to the capital. The 4 times before and after will be settled. It depends on the Emperor's decision. Only the Emperor is determined not to do this. The military affairs have to be decided by the Emperor. I am sending 3 urgent letters to the Emperor. Is this all right? Shen Baichuan said confidently. The Emperor the final say. Isn't that a 2-day suspension? Oh, my dear brother, keep your voice down. Who said it's not right? The situation in North Korea is also very chaotic now. After the new emperor ascends the throne, he has been thinking about seizing power. Let's talk about this later. The main matter is important, I will send it tonight. My dear brother, please hurry up and write it. It will take about 2 hours for the flying pigeon to transmit the message. Okay, senior brother, let's do it as soon as possible. We must send it out ahead of them. Farewell, wise brother. Brother, please do as you please. The two of them quickly left the living room after being polite. Shen Baichuan left the general's mansion and his horse galloped away. Zhang Jinyu calmly walked out of the living room. Seeing Zhang Jinyu come out and squatting in the corner, Ning Bian and the guard stood up. Sir, can it be done? Ning Bian asked with some nervousness. Planning depends on people, success depends on heaven. Let's wait for the will of heaven. If we don't work hard like this, who knows? If we don't consider ourselves or our brothers, we can't be a big soldier for the rest of our lives. If we survive this time, everyone in northeast China can stand up and be a good person. Zhang Jinyu did not shy away from the guards and directly spoke up. General, we are willing to die for you. After hearing these words, the guards all knelt down and said, Get up quickly, my brothers. What are you doing with these words? I know your loyalty. The good days are ahead, and there's nothing we can say that won't die. When it's late, let's go back and rest. It's better for you to come with me to the study. I'll send out the letter I wrote in 2 hours. Yes, General, we'll step down later. After the guards leave. Zhang Jinyu brought Ning Bian to the study and immediately wrote 2 urgent letters, explaining that Ning Bian would send them now. A military department, a high-ranking emperor in charge of the imperial city. Ning Bian was a bit confused with the letter, so didn't he say he would send it out later? Sir, did you remember the wrong time? Didn't you just tell me to send it 2 hours later? Zhang Jinyu looked at Ning Bian's puzzled gaze. Just explain, that's just a gimmick. Whoever is the first to make a statement will have the deepest impression and the greatest impact. Got it, sir, I'll go now. Ning Bian quickly packed the 2 sealed envelopes and flew pigeons to deliver the message. Shen Baichuan returned to the mansion. I immediately wrote 6 copies and sent them out in 3 installments according to the plan. Time passed by bit. Ningbo Prefecture in the capital city, since her father Jia Jing went to cultivate, Jia Zhen has become even more reckless. I usually cover up outside, but now whenever I have nothing to do, I call my many concubines to serve me, regardless of the opinions of others. Jia Rong also carefully avoided Jia Zhen in the mansion every day, afraid of touching her eyebrows and getting beaten. Now, the servants in the mansion also looked at her with strange eyes, feeling extremely angry inside. So Jia Rong often drank flower wine outside and stayed up all night, while Jia Chang, who was not outstanding in Ningbo Mansion, was favored by Jia Zhen. Gradually, Jia Chang's voice in Ningbo Mansion gradually increased. Jia Rong, who often hangs out outside, is not aware of this matter. After all, she is the legitimate descendant of the Ningbo Prefecture, and in the Dawu gang, ethics are an iron law. Jia Rong often went to Yichuan courtyard and also met Uncle Lian of Rongguo Mansion. The two of them had a similar odor, often exchanging singers and drinking flower wine. They were so drunk that they stayed up all night, to the extent that Wang Shifeng, the sister-in-law of Lian heir of Rongguo Mansion, had a heated argument over this matter, which was well known to everyone. But because Jia Baoyu's birthday was approaching, the old lady just became a mediator to make Wang Shifeng endure it. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Tonight, a breeze rises suddenly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Tonight, a breeze rises suddenly. Dawu capital, Rongguo Prefecture in the capital city. Jia Mu seems to have nothing to do now, arranged to bring all the granddaughters from each room together to have some pastries, and also ask how Baoyu's birthday is arranged. Yuan Yang, go and call Mr. Zheng. I'll ask him how the arrangements for Baoyu's affairs are going. Yes, old lady. A young girl in a brocade robe dressed in mandarin ducks playing in the water responded, saying, Wanfu, and then turned around to pass the message. As soon as I left, I saw Tan Chun, Ying Chun, and Shichuan coming together, chatting and laughing all the way, feeling uncomfortable. I have met all the ladies. Mandarin ducks first greet each other with a voice, "Oh, isn't this Sister Yuanyang? Where are you going?" Shichuan quickly asked when she saw the Mandarin duck. "Miss Hui, the old lady asked me to call Mr. Zhang. Grandma asked you to go, then hurry up and don't delay." "Yes, miss. Sisters, let's go in quickly too. Don't keep Grandma waiting for too long." "Okay, let's go together." Tan Chun and Ying Chun agreed and headed towards Rongshi Hall. Rongshi Hall, which represents the power of Ronghua Prefecture, is extremely extravagant. There are rumors in the capital that Jia Bu falsely used Bai Yu as a horse for Tang Jin, which is obviously extremely extravagant. Jia Mu lay on the Kong and saw the girls coming, showing a kind smile, "Everyone is here, come and take a break. This is the osmanthus cake brought by your second sister. In law outside the Urjiao Hutong. The old brand still has that flavor." "Thank you, grandmother." They each sat in their own positions, picked up the pastry and started eating it in small bites. "Don't say it's really delicious, isn't it, second sister?" The youngest Shichuan is still so active. "Well, of course, you don't have to look at who bought it." Tan Chun also joked that only Ying Chun was silently eating pastries without making a sound, and Shichuan Tan Chun was also accustomed to the tranquility of Ying Chun. "You mischievous monkey, arrange your second sister. In law like this, and when you come back, your second sister. In law Lien will see how to deal with you." Jia Mu also smiled and criticized. "Hey, my good grandmother, I dare not." Everyone burst into laughter when they saw Shichuan like that. The capital, the Imperial Palace, the Imperial City Intelligence Duty Office, the one on duty is Yang Gonggang, one of the internal managers, who is dozing off. Just as I squinted for a while, I heard pigeons flying from the blue platform outside the window, cooing. Immediately startled, he woke up, seeing the pigeons outside the window. "You know there's a letter coming," hurriedly grabbing the pigeon and taking down the letter. As soon as I saw the red urgent in my hand, I immediately set off to deliver it to Dai Quan, the head of the department. Dai Quan, who was patrolling at night, felt a jolt in his heart when he saw Manager Yang rushing in a hurry. "What's going on? What are you panicking about?" "Inner phase, red urgent, from northeast. Bring it over quickly." Manager Yang quickly handed it over. After receiving it, Dai Quan saw that the seal was red and knew it was from the northeast. "When did you come?" "Returning to the inner phase, it only takes 15 minutes. Then hurry back, there might be more." "I'll go in immediately to see the Emperor now." "Yes, internal phase." Dai Quan hurriedly walked towards the heart-nourishing hall, and on the other side, at the Ministry of War Duty, another person hurriedly walked towards the Changel Palace of the Supreme Emperor. Xia Shouzhong personally took the letter and walked in, everything going on quietly. Dai Quan, who had walked several times outside the palace gate, eventually walked in. Dang! 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 Dai Quan lightly knocked on the door. Emperor Wu has been on his mind for the past few days, sleeping very lightly. When he heard a knock on the door, he knew something was wrong. What's going on?" "Old slave Dai Quan, urgent matter from northeast China." Emperor Wu heard that it was an urgent matter from northeast China. I knew something was wrong, so I immediately got up and put on some clothes. Next to her, Empress Wu still refused to let go. "So late, is the emperor still busy? What military and state affairs do women know? You sleep with them." Zhou Shihong replied angrily and got up to change clothes. "Come in, Dai Quan. Follow the instructions." After speaking, Dai Quan pushed the door open and entered. Emperor Wu didn't ask, he just said, "Open the letter and read it directly to me." "I'll change my clothes first, and it's almost time to go to court." "Yes, Your Majesty." Dai Quan checked the ceiling area again, confirmed that it is intact, then tear it open and take out the confidential message inside to read. "Return to the Emperor, the letter is not from the Imperial City Department. Look at the signature, it belongs to General Zhang Jinyu of Pingyang County. How could it be him? You read it first. Yes, Your Majesty. The last General Zhang Jinyu urgently wrote this letter at a time of crisis. On October 19, the defending general and the prefect of Pingyang city abandoned the city and fled. The Jurchen soldiers took the city without bloodshed. After the last general was cut off, they urgently asked the partial general Ning Yuan to lead 5,000 troops to the west of the city and seize it. On October 20, the commander of the reinforcements refused to listen to the last general's advice and insisted on going out to battle with the Jurchen cavalry. Their whereabouts are now unknown. Dai Quan read this. It was also so scared that his face lost its color, and his hands trembled and trembled. Xian has misunderstood me, Xian has misunderstood me. Emperor Wu trembled with anger and gritted his teeth, saying, "You keep reading. At the end of the afternoon, he will lead only 10,000 soldiers out of the city to rescue them." Fortunately, with the blessing of the emperor, the reinforcements were successfully rescued and retreated to the city. The Ningyuan troops outside were lost. Only the last general in Pingyang commanded the lone army to besiege the city. The city of Pingyang was bitten by the main force of the Jurchen followers. Now, the city of Pingyang is surrounded by 250,000 elite members of the Jurchen Kan Huang Jitai, who have died. The city of Pingyang is in danger, and the lowly Zhang Jinyu, who has been a great warrior for generations, will not retreat. He has decided to defend the city of Pingyang until his death in battle, loyal to the Great Wu and the Emperor. On the night of October 21, the 7th year of the Yuanfeng reign of the Great Wu, on the east wall upon reading this, Dai Quan was also shocked by the secret letter written by Zhang Jinyu. This is the final letter, and it has only been a few days now. After listening, Zhou Shihong's body shook and Dai Quan saw that he quickly came over to help. "Your Majesty, take care of the dragon's body. You can't listen to General Zhang's one-sided words now. The letter from the Imperial City Department hasn't arrived yet, so please don't worry, Your Majesty. How could all those generals be gone in just a few days? Is it too outrageous? I'm fine, you make sense. With a 200,000 strong army, both the commander and the general have died." Zhou Shihong heard Dai Quan's analysis with reason. At this moment, Yang Gonggang outside the door came again. "Your Majesty, General Manager Dai, the urgent and confidential letter from the Northeast Imperial City Office. There are 3 letters in total, with a time interval of less than 15 minutes. Quick. Dai Quan, bring it over. It's the Emperor." Dai Quan quickly went out and brought it in. "Open, read directly." "Yes, Your Majesty." Dai Quan also looked at the sealed lacquer of the confidential letter. After confirming that the letters were intact again, they were opened and read in the order of their arrival time. Shen Qianlian, a lowly official from the Imperial City Department of Pingyang County, had an urgent matter to report. "I only found out on the 21st that he had sued the Pingyang city governor and the prefect for losing the Pingyang city and fleeing, which was occupied by the Jurchen at a very low cost. The 100 households of the Imperial City Department of Pingyang City defected, not only without passing on any news, but also lost contact for more than 5 days." After Dai Quan finished reading, knowing that the weather may change in northeast China, taking a glance at the iron-faced Emperor Wu, he unconsciously swallowed his saliva. "Keep going." "Yes, Your Majesty." On the afternoon of October 20, I learned that the commander-in-chief of the reinforcements, Prince Zhou, had disobeyed the advice of the defending General Zhang Jinyu without authorization. He led his troops to ambush and break through the encirclement to the south, leaving behind 200,000 troops. Fortunately, General Zhang led his troops to fight to the death to rescue the city. Most of them have been rescued and returned to the city, but the losses have been devastating. Continue. "Yes, Your Majesty." Under the command of General Zhang Jinyu, the commander of Pingyang Commandery, there has been a bloody battle with the main force of Jurchen followers for 2 days. Now, Pingyang Commandery is surrounded by 250,000 elite members of Jurchen Khan Huang Jitai, who have died. Pingyang Commandery is in imminent danger. Shen Baichuan, a lowly official, is willing to defend Pingyang Commandery with General Zhang Jinyu until his death in battle. He is loyal to Dawu and the Emperor. On the night of October 21st, the 55th year of the Dawu calendar. That's right, Zhang Jinyu's words confirm it. The strength of Emperor Wu's body seemed to have been drained in an instant, and he was about to collapse straight to the ground. This scene frightened Dai Quan and he quickly helped him. You are all dead people. If you don't come and help, go call the imperial physician. Hurry up. Dai Quan roared angrily at the young eunuchs around him. A few people lifted the emperor up with all their hands and feet. On the dragon couch, Empress Wu was also frightened and hid on the side, not daring to make a sound. After Dr. Wang arrived, he took a look and diagnosed his pulse. The emperor's peace of mind is to be in a hurry. I will prescribe a formula to calm my mind and take care of it. I know it's okay, but I'm just angry. Dr. Wang, I'm bothering you. Your Majesty, I am a humble minister. I will go down and decoct medicine for you. Okay, let's go down. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The bell sounds through the capital. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The bell tolls through the capital Beijing, within the imperial palace. At this moment, the sound of tea bowls breaking also came from the Changle palace. Waste, it's all waste. Damn it, loyal and obedient king. From the palace came the angry roar of Emperor Zhou Xingzhua, and those generals of the 4 kings and 8 princes, are they all eating dry food? Bullshit, generals are not as good as pigs. Emperor Taishang, calm down. Now that things have happened, don't get angry and ruin your body. Xia Shouzhong was also frightened and his face turned pale. It was a long time since he saw the Supreme Emperor get so angry. What does the Emperor say? The Emperor asked directly, returning to the Emperor. The Emperor was furious when he learned about this matter. The people from the Imperial Hospital have already gone. Xia Shouzhong immediately returned. What, is the Emperor okay? I just said that Xian can't lead the army, he just won't listen. Hui, Emperor, the Emperor is in a hurry to attack his heart. It's not a big deal. He has already finished drinking the medicine and started. If it's okay, it's okay. It seems that the people of the 4 kings and 8 princes are not so reliable either. Upon hearing these words, Xia Shouzhong, he lowered his head even lower, which is hard to hear. Outside the northeast pass, southeast of Luoyun Plain, Zhongshuan King Zhou Shiren led a partially defeated army of less than 1,000 soldiers and fled all the way to this place. It has been 3 days of camping and dining, and I have never suffered such a crime. Where have you been now? Zhou Shiren asked with a tired expression on his face. Lord Hui, we're almost at Pingyao City, but we can't go anymore. The Pingyao garrison and the prefect have already run away, and there are still Jurchen cavalry chasing after us. If Pingyao City were to fall long ago, wouldn't that be like sheep entering the tiger's mouth? The speaker is Lu Fang, the grandson of Duke Lu Biao of Ligua. Yes, Prince, be careful not to make a big mistake. Chen Ruiwen, the grandson of Duke Chen Yi of Qi, agreed. What should we do then? When Zhou Shi settled down, he asked helplessly, go straight south to Luoyue Pass, it's the safest. Niu Jizong, the grandson of Duke Niu Qing of Xinghua, has been hammering the sound. Okay, that's it. To avoid long dreams at night, let's go now. Zhou Shiren led the generals of these prefectures to continue their southward journey. Daming Palace Heart-Nourishing Hall, after drinking the medicine, Zhou Shihong returned to the warm pavilion of the Heart-Nourishing Hall, feeling no mood to look at the delicate face of Empress Wu. Dai Quan, go strike the Jinyang bell. Emperor Wu pondered for a long time before saying such a sentence. Dai Quan thought he had heard the wrong thing. this Jinyu bell can only be struck by Dawu at a critical moment, it must be a major event and cannot be moved. If it rings now, it will undoubtedly cause a huge uproar in the capital. I've considered it before, and this may not be an opportunity. How can we know if they are loyal or treacherous without knocking? Moreover, whether they are lost in northeast China or not, I have to take a gamble. Let's go. Dai Quan knew that the emperor had made up his mind to seize power, even taking out the northeast and releasing it, but was this really good? Isn't it too impatient? But seeing Emperor Wu holding back so much in recent years, oh, it's just that. I comply with the order. Now arrange for someone to knock on me. The emperor is ready and will soon go to court. Yeah, I'll be going to court soon. Dong. 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 The Dawu court, on the quiet eve of dawn, after many years, the Jinyu bell rings again. The entire capital was awakened by a startle. Officials and noble families immediately got up to dress and prepare to go to court. Hurry up, something big is happening. The household of the Minister of Revenue was filled with a flurry of chickens and dogs. Are you still staring at me? Why don't you get up and armor me, waiting to be cleaned up? Inside the Shenwu general's mansion, Feng Tang shouted loudly. Prince Tang, the military governor of Jingyang, happened to be inspecting the military camp these days. When he heard the sound of the bell, he immediately blew the horn and gathered. He changed into his official uniform and immediately rode his horse into the city, heading towards the direction of the palace. In Ningguo Mansion, Jia Zhen indulges in drunkenness and dreams every day, without worrying about the affairs of the court. She stays at home and spends time with her concubine. When she gets tired of it, she sends the housekeeper Lai to buy some clean servants to continue her joy. But every month, she still has to pay tribute to Jia Jingna with a large amount of money. Jia Zhen still has a tight budget, and she rarely goes out to drink flower wine for fear of losing face in front of her colleagues. Surprisingly, she has left a good impression in the court. Jianxiang Tower, Jia Zhen was sleeping soundly with her two concubines in her arms. When she heard the bell sound, she was so scared that she almost rolled off the bed. It's been years since she heard the bell sound, and at first glance, her soul was gone. By the way, my official uniform is not even in the room. Madam, where is my official uniform? Do you still know to call me? It's here. Outside the door, you brought in her official uniform with a silver butterfly. Help me change clothes quickly. There should be an accident in the palace today. Humph, why don't you hurry up? Rongguo Prefecture, Jia Shi and Jia Zheng had a drink together last night, and now they are also sleepy. Even if the old lady arranged for the Mandarin duck to invite Mr. Zheng to discuss Baoyu's birthday banquet, she did not attend. It turned out that the Ningrong and Lianggong mansions had a large number of manors in northeast China, with at least 20 large manors in each family. However, in recent years, with the invasion of the woman in northeast China, the manors could not be saved. All of them have been sold at low prices to the Tianbai Chamber of Commerce in recent years, leaving only a few villages near Luoyue Pass. The production has also been declining year by year, and the situation has been particularly tense recently. The two brothers are also discussing whether northeast China can stabilize. If not, they should sell the villages as soon as possible, so as not to give them away for free and no one wants them later. The year after tomorrow, they will talk about drinking too much family food and then sleep with their clothes. Who knows? The sound of the Jinyu bell woke the two of them. They also knew that the matter was significant, changed their official uniforms, and prepared to go out. But before being taken away, she turned her head and went to Jia's mother's house. The old lady stood up and gave a warning. If there's really something going on in the palace, what do you two mean by looking at the emperor's side? If it weren't for you looking at Sun Gui, what would you say? Follow them. Sun knows. The two of them responded and got into the sedan chair, walking straight towards the inner palace. Gradually, the Qianqing Hall of the imperial palace was already filled with officials and nobles from the capital, all gathered together to discuss. Lao Zhao, have you heard any rumors? No, what about you? I didn't hear it either. What could it be? What can turn around and ring the golden sun bell? Yes, yes. While everyone was speculating wildly, Your Majesty is here. Dai Quan shouted loudly, bow to the holy ancestor, long live my emperor. Long live. Zhou Shihong walked straight to the throne and sat down, glancing at the courtiers. How many of them were his own? Flatten. Thank you, Emperor. When the ministers stood up and stood firm, let's report something. Dai Quan let out another soft drink. Emperor Wu glanced directly at the people in the Ministry of War. It's impossible for the Ministry of War not to know such a big matter, my lord, Minister of War Wei Zhanaying, there is an urgent matter to report. It concerns the life and death of 250,000 troops in northeast China. This startled the courtiers, who were stunned for a moment. They had just woken up and were still in a fog. Tell the courtiers, yes, Your Majesty. I have 3 urgent confidential letters from the Imperial City Department of Pingyang County and the red urgent confidential letter from the General of Pingyang County Garrison in my hand. Rather than being a confidential letter, it is more like their pre-written suicide note. The verification of the situation is very accurate. Then read it and take out Zhang Jinyu's letter for everyone to listen to. As per the decree, General Zhang Jinyu urgently wrote this letter during the critical moment. On October 19, the defending general and the prefect of Pingyao City abandoned the city and fled, and the Jurchen soldiers took the city without bloodshed. After the end of the last general, on October 20, the commander of the reinforcements refused to listen to the advice of the end general and insisted on going out to battle with the Jurchen cavalry. Their whereabouts are currently unknown. No, right. How could this be possible? Isn't it still okay a few days ago? I've long said I won't let Prince Zhongshuan lead the army, be cautious in your words. Dai Quan saw the commotion in the court and shouted loudly at the appropriate time, silence. Until the courtiers quiet down, Love Qin continues, yes, Your Majesty. By the end of this afternoon, we will lead only 20,000 soldiers out of the city to rescue them. Only the last general in Pingyang will command the lonely army to besiege the city. Now, Pingyang County City is surrounded by 250,000 elite soldiers of the Jurchen Khan Huang Jitai who have died. Pingyang City is in danger, and the lowly Zhang Jinyu will never retreat for generations as a member of the Dawu people. He has decided to defend Pingyang County City until he dies in battle, loyal to Dawu and the emperor. In the 7th year of the Yuanfeng era of Dawu, on the night of October 21, on the east wall of the city. You almost heard me, right? If you have any opinions, just say them and we can discuss them. I can't even wait. After hearing this, the courtiers were all shocked, especially the distinguished officials in the Qianquan Hall. 4 kings and 8 kilometers of descendants followed the generals who led the army, and now several national officials are unable to stand steadily. End of this chapter. 10. Chapter 10 Cracks between civil and military affairs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Cracks between civil and military affairs. Seeing all the courtiers also shocked, in the chaos that used to be annoying, now it really looks incredibly beautiful. Zhou Shihong felt a sense of relief in his heart, letting them continue their argument. He had been suppressed for too long. Outside Dawu Pass, Luoyue Pass, in the latter half of the night, this is the easternmost and only passageway for entering and exiting the border. The besieged and disheveled Zhou Prince and his generals outside the pass, who had been sleeping outdoors for 3 days and 3 nights, finally arrived at the pass. What person? Closing the guard, General Chai Yanping immediately warned and asked, blinding your dog's eyes, can't you see that it's Prince Zhou of loyalty and Shun, as well as the young nobles of various prefectures? The guard on one side cursed directly. Come in, let me take a look. General Chai Yanping insisted on the path. it's all over, I'm exhausted. Don't make any mistakes. Everyone walked to the pass and, illuminated by torches, recognized it as Lord Zhou and others. Chai Yanping immediately confessed his crime. Don't take it amiss, my lord. My duty is here. I will immediately open the city gate. Hurry up, we're almost starving. Prepare something for us to eat. Qianhu, the imperial city chief of Guanyi, hid on the side and did not show his presence. Seeing a team of less than 1,000 people entering the border and feeling disheveled, my heart also felt a thump. I didn't see a 200,000 strong army leaving the border. Thinking it might be a big defeat, I immediately returned to Qianhu and wrote an urgent red secret letter, flying directly to the capital. Silence, Dai Quan's voice rang out once again, and the officials finally regained their senses and realized that they were in court. Ladies and gentlemen, what should I do now? Who can tell me? Your Majesty. I have something to ask. The Minister of Revenue, Gui Chen, stood in line and asked, It's Mr. Gu. You can ask me something. Your Majesty, has this matter been verified? In theory, a 200,000 strong army and 30,000 people led by Zhang Jinyu should not have been arrested at once, so I suspected. Report, urgent report at the end of the month. Before Gu Gu could finish speaking, there was an urgent report from the Imperial Guard outside the Qianqing Hall. Dai Quan quickly went over to take the secret letter and showed it to the Emperor. Zhou Shihong waved his hand directly, Don't bring it over, just read it on the spot. Yes, Your Majesty. Under the gaze of the courtiers, Dai Quan inspected the sealed paint opening and only tore it open to read after confirming its integrity. Li Shouqiang, 1,000 households stationed at the Luoyue Pass of the Imperial City Department, had an urgent matter to report. On the night of October 21st, at the hour of ugliness, Prince Zhongshuan led less than 1,000 generals to the front of Luoyue Pass in a disheveled manner. He urgently entered the pass and said that there might be Jurchen pursuers behind him, but did not mention anything else. He feared that the Northern Expedition Army had encountered an accident and dared not deceive. He urgently reported to His Majesty, Please prepare quickly. The silence in the main hall was terrifying, and the Minister of Revenue's face turned red like a rooster choked on its neck, unable to speak a word. Everything is clear now, the efforts of 30 years before and after are all in vain. Zhou Shihong's angry face turned pale as he stood up and walked back and forth in front of his seat. Oh. By the way, the loyal and obedient king is still fine. Why didn't he die there? He ran quite fast. Pingyang is so far from Luoyue Pass, and he finished the 5-day journey in 3 days. His escape speed is amazing, and of course, the generals of the 8 generals are not bad either. Zhou Shihong became increasingly angry and unpleasant as he spoke. Zhao Jingwu, the Minister of War on the side, couldn't bear to watch anymore. The most important thing now is to solve the problem of reinforcements in Pingyang County. It's urgent. Following the departure route, Your Majesty, let's talk about these matters later. Now is the time to solve the problem of rescuing Pingyang County City. It's urgent, otherwise it won't be too late. It's almost dawn, so the Jurchen people should be attacking the city soon. After hearing this, Zhou Shihong clearly felt bad. Although he wanted to take out the bait, he didn't say it was for free. Ai Qing, quickly say, what's the solution? It's too late for anything now. It'll take a month to march from the capital to there. Sigh. Your Majesty, don't worry. First of all, we must stabilize all the defenders of Pingyang County, especially General Zhang Jinyu. We haven't reached the final step yet. I hope Your Majesty can make an exception by awarding Zhang Jinyu the title of Dedication to Dawu. After Zhao Guilao finished speaking, the ministers present, especially the nobles, knew what they meant. Advancing positions and titles to stabilize Zhang Jinyu also made him loyal to the Dawu Empire, cutting off his retreat and forcing him to defend himself. The people of the 4 kings and 8 princes also have chilly necks, and the mouths of civil servants kill invisibly. Although I know my own children are fine, being so embarrassed still makes me feel embarrassed. I understand what the old man means, but I can't bear it. Zhou Shihong was unable to make a decision for a long time. Your Majesty, it's almost dawn and I don't know what it will be like today. It will take nearly 4 hours for the carrier pigeon to arrive there, and if Pingyang city really falls into the hands of the Jurchen people, even if Zhang Jinyu leads the crowd to break through, there is no way out. What about Pingyang city to the west? Zhou Shihong suddenly thought of another city to the west. Your Majesty, 2 out of the 4 cities on the Luoyun plain have passed away. How far is it to the west? There is only one isolated city, and that 40,000 defenders will be killed. Zhao Jingwu, the Minister of War, also had a choked voice. Upon hearing this, all the courtiers couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness in their hearts. What's I Ching's solution? Or rather, how can she stabilize herself? The old minister boldly advised and appointed Zhang Jinyu as a marquis, and Zhang Jinyu as the military governor of the Luoyun plain, with no hereditary succession. He permanently stationed himself at the border. He was given a grand mansion in the capital, which led the 3 cities of Pingyang, Pingyao, Pingliao, and Pingyang County. He also commanded the reinforcements and defended 4 cities, giving him a total of 250,000 positions. It can be considered a celebration in advance. After listening to such outrageous rewards and conditions, the courtiers couldn't believe that these were the words of Zhao Gu, the Minister of War who had always opposed the military governor's control of the region. Zhou Shihong also didn't understand, nor did he understand what Zhao Gulao meant. Isn't he always supporting the abolition of fiefdoms? What does I Ching mean? I'm a bit confused. Zhao Gulao tidied up his clothes and spoke forcefully, Your Majesty, it is to make the courtiers understand that the court will not mistreat him by serving Dawu to the death. Moreover, currently, only 2 cities in the 4 cities are in hand and 1 is surrounded. The court currently has no troops to rescue them in the short term, and even if there are, they will not be able to quench their thirst. Moreover, the use of reinforcements is not great, and with more, the capital will be empty. Your Majesty, Mr. Zhao Gu is right. Now let's stabilize Zhang Jinyu and the defenders. Minister of Works Wen Yongyi came out to support. What does that mean later? Zhao Aiqing, why don't you say it again? Now we can only rely on General Zhang's own abilities. The Luoyun plain has always been a burden for the Dawu Empire, but we cannot give it to those people on the grasslands. It's better to give it to our own people. We just need to control the logistics. Moreover, if we really conquer the 4 cities, then at least 200,000 people in large areas can defend them. So I said to congratulate Marquis Zhang in advance. What if we don't hold on? The ranks of generals, Feng Tang, the divine martial general who couldn't bear the civil servants calculating the generals like this, stepped out and asked. Everyone looked at Zhao Gulao again. The court has already granted him the title of marquis, which is considered to honor his ancestors and deserves him. The ranks of the distinguished generals took a deep breath of air, and indeed, the civil servants killed without seeing any blood. It all depends on Zhang Jinyu's own fate, and now the court almost says that there will be no more reinforcements dispatched. Okay, that's all. Dai Quan will follow Zhao Jiyi's instructions and issue an edict. Northeast China will use a secret letter, Imperial Edict. See if he has the opportunity to come back and receive the edict. As ordered, I can't bear to watch the side of General Sun Gui anymore. I can't even receive the Imperial Edict before I die. Chen Yi, Duke of Qi, was dispatched. I have something to report to Your Majesty. Duke of Qi, do you think so? Your Majesty, there is no imperial decree that has been written not to be issued. Didn't it mean that Marquis Zhang was given a large mansion in the capital? Your Majesty, why not bestow another concubine upon him? General Zhang is still young and heard that he has not yet married. Let this woman take over the decree and be enshrined in the mansion, so as to set an example for the courtiers and generals. Next, Jinghua Bulqing, Duke of Li Lu Biao, Duke of Xiugua Ming, Duke of Jigua Ma Biao, including Ronggua Mansion Jia Shi and Ningua Mansion Jia Zhen, all agreed. Shen Zhongxin, a civil servant and a minister of the Ministry of Revenue, opposed the idea. Your Majesty, this is absolutely not acceptable. Not to mention whether it violates the court system, but in case General Zhang is fully loyal to the country, there is no reason for the royal family to produce women to marry into the underworld. Underworld marriage is still prohibited among the people. Even if a person is still alive, how can they be so casual without the words of parents or matchmakers? The members of the civil service team nodded repeatedly and agreed that they couldn't get used to these warriors. Where did the court get them to be arrogant here? Do the civil servants still want their face? End of this chapter.